And I want to jump in first with one of my compatriots, Lewis Ferguson, because he was Mr. Bologna a couple of years ago, a star player, attacking midfielder who could have even rivaled Scott McTominay in prominence and pride from my nation of Scotland. But it's all gone a wee bit pear-shaped for him in Bologna, and unfortunately, our users have been in the forum chatting about his market value. One user said that injury he picked up a while back seems to have derailed his career. At this point, I don't know if he'll ever be able to return from that level. One says his prolonged absence and his return not quite back to full fitness weren't good news for Bologna, but unfortunately the season hasn't gone to plan. He needs to be dropped. And another user says, I'm really sorry because he was an incredibly talented player, but after his injury, he never managed to get back on his previous level. He's really struggled this season in particular. So Ferguson has a market value right now of 18 million euros. It was once at a high of 28 million euros, about this time last year, actually. And our average suggestion from users, and it's worth noting here for anyone who doesn't know, you can go on to Transfermarkt. You can go to any player profile and vote on what you think the market value should go up, down, stay the same. And then you can jump into the market value forums and give a more detailed explanation if you'd like. And the average user suggestion suggests that his market value should go down by about 2 or 3 million euros. And Manu, I probably have to agree with the users on this one. It breaks my heart because I think Ferguson's a great player. I actually interviewed him for Transfermarkt. I spoke to him not that long ago, last year I think it was, or the year before, about his rise from Hamilton, which is just outside Glasgow, and Aberdeen. And he's kind of part of this kind of like footballing dynasty in Scotland. Ferguson's obviously a very famous name, but not just Alex Ferguson. There's Duncan Ferguson, Barry Ferguson as well, who people may know as well. So there's that kind of, he's kind of footballing royalty in Scotland, so people pay a lot of attention to him. But I think it's interesting how his season has kind of plateaued, or his time in Bologna has plateaued. I think you could suggest that perhaps, injury has played a part, but if I could maybe add something else to it, I would say that maybe the kind of evolution of Bologna as a club has maybe changed things as well. When I spoke to him, he had so much praise and admiration for Thiago Motta when he came to the club and kind of developed Bologna's tactics and system, and he really thrived under Motta. He actually got 13 goals and 5 assists in 65 games, I think it was, for Bologna in all competitions under Motta. Since he's been replaced by Vincenzo Italiano, Ferguson's role at Bologna has kind of really changed. He's gone from being this kind of attacking box-to-box player who likes to get on the edge of the box, maybe be the last kind of late runners into the box to kind of get onto chances and create chances, and he's maybe turned more into kind of more physical defensive midfielders. So I think that's played a part in why he's maybe his stats aren't maybe as convincing. He's gone from being an attacking player with lots of goals and assists to maybe a more defensive all-rounder. But I do generally agree with the users that say maybe he hasn't quite been the same since his injury. And he's always talked about maybe wanting to move to England at some point to kind of prove himself. And I just kind of wonder maybe a move this summer might be the best thing for him, because it feels as though he and Bologna have maybe gone as far as they can. Yeah, I think it'd be a really interesting one to keep an eye on. He'll almost certainly be going to the World Cup with Scotland, where he'll probably be a starter after somewhat being frozen out at some point by Steve Clarke for other players, but he's kind of elbowed his way into that team for sure. So he'll be at the World Cup for Scotland, and he could certainly turn around his market value with some strong performances there.